Ever find yourself on a party line in the early 2000s? Well, let me take you on a journey back to those times. Picture this: an apartment, compact yet cozy, the sanctuary of a lone dweller in the heart of the city. The year is somewhere in the early 2000s, the era of low-rise jeans, flip phones, and, of course, party lines. Now, for those who might not be familiar, a party line was not about balloons and birthday cakes. It was a sort of telephone network, a hub for strangers to meet, swap stories, maybe even spark a connection. It was the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of the new, the mystery of the voice on the other end of the line that made it an irresistible lure. Our protagonist, let's call him John, was no stranger to this world. Living alone, the party line was his window to a world beyond the four walls of his apartment. The voices that came and went, they were his company, his escape, his nightly adventure. One night amidst a sea of voices, there was one that stood out. A voice that was different, intriguing, promising. A voice that John felt an instant connection with. They talked, they laughed, they shared stories. It was as if they had known each other for years. The mysterious stranger on the other end of the line, let's call him Mystery Man, was no longer a stranger to John. The connection was real, palpable, even through the static-filled line. As the sun began to rise, the conversation came to a close, but not before Mystery Man expressed a desire to meet in person. A leap from the anonymity of the party line to the reality of John's apartment. An unexpected proposal, but one that John, intrigued and excited by the promise of the unknown, was ready to accept. And so, the stage was set for an unexpected encounter, all thanks to a party line. Now imagine this, you've made a new friend on the party line, and they decide to come over. But there's a catch. As the early 2000s beats fill the background, picture the scene. It's a typical day, and you're lounging in your solitary apartment. The atmosphere is filled with anticipation. The doorbell rings, and there stands your new friend from the party line, ready for a fun evening. The air is charged with excitement as you both settle in. You're ready for a good time, just two friends hanging out, reminiscing about the good old days and discussing everything from music to fashion of the early 2000s. But then, as the evening progresses, your visitor drops a bombshell. He proposes an unexpected deal, $20 for the activities you were about to engage in. For a moment, you're taken aback. This wasn't what you had in mind when you invited him over. But then again, it's not every day that you're offered money for simply hanging out and having fun. The proposition is unusual, no doubt. But you can't help but see the humor in it. After all, who wouldn't want to earn a little extra cash while enjoying some good company? You ponder over it, weighing the pros and cons. On one hand, it's a strange arrangement, one that could potentially change the dynamics of your new friendship. On the other hand, it's an opportunity to earn some money, and you could certainly use a little extra cash. So, you decide to go with the flow, shrugging off any reservations. And after all, it's just a friendly hangout, and your new friend seems genuine enough. The $20 proposition becomes a running joke between you two, adding a touch of humor to your meetings And just like that, an ordinary visit turned into an unusual business transaction. What if a one-time visit turned into a regular affair? Well, that's precisely what happened next. Picture this. The visitor, who was once a stranger, now a familiar face, started to pop in more often. What was initially an unexpected encounter on a party line became a series of repeated rendezvous. The apartment, once quiet and solitary, now echoed with laughter and chatter from their shared moments. They would engage in various activities, playing video games till the wee hours of the morning, ordering takeout from the local Chinese joint, and reminiscing about the golden era of rap music. There was a certain rhythm to these visits, a flow that added a dash of fun and excitement to their lives. But there was a catch. Each time the visitor came over, it cost our protagonist $20. Now, you may wonder why. Well, that was an agreement they had. A small price to pay, you might say, for the fun and camaraderie they shared. And so, the protagonist found himself shelling out $20 each time. It was an unusual setup, no doubt. But the protagonist didn't mind. He found the arrangement amusing, and in a strange way, it added a unique flair to their friendship. It was like their own little inside joke, a secret pact that only they understood. As they spent more time together, their bond deepened. They discovered shared interests, enjoyed hearty laughs, and even indulged in friendly debates about the best rap albums of the early 2000s. The apartment was no longer a lonely place for the protagonist. It was now filled with memories of good times and candid conversations. As the visits became more frequent, the protagonist found himself in a peculiar yet entertaining situation. Little did he know that things were about to take a turn. But that's a story for another scene. For now, let's just say that our protagonist was enjoying this unexpected twist in his life. One $20 visit at a time. Now what happens when a secret is revealed? It changes everything, doesn't it? In this tale of mine, the unexpected revelation was a game changer. The constant visitor, the man who'd become a regular part of my solitary apartment life, dropped a bombshell. He had a girlfriend. Yes, you heard it right. The man who made himself at home in my space, who shared countless moments of camaraderie, had a secret love tucked away. Let's delve deeper into this. The revelation wasn't just that he had a girlfriend, but that he was committed enough to her that he couldn't come over to my place anymore. It was as if a switch had been flipped. The man who'd been a regular part of my life, whose presence had become something of a routine, was suddenly gone. The apartment that had been filled with laughter and conversation was now silent. You might be wondering, how did I react to this news? Well, it was a mixed bag of emotions. There was surprise, of course. Despite the unusual arrangement we had, one where I was essentially paying for his company, I'd begun to see him as a friend. His revelation stung, not because I harbored romantic feelings for him, but because it felt like a betrayal of trust. And yet, there was also a sense of relief. The $20 I'd been parting with each time he visited, I was now saving that. There was a sudden influx of cash that I hadn't realized I'd been missing. It was a small silver lining in an otherwise cloudy situation. But beyond the surprise and the relief, there was a sense of loss. The regular visits, the shared moments, the companionship, it had all come to an abrupt halt. The apartment felt emptier, the silence louder, and yet, life had a way of moving on, of filling up the spaces left behind by people. With this revelation, the regular visits came to an abrupt end. So, what happens when the unexpected visits stop? Let's find out. With the departure of his unexpected guest, our protagonist found himself in a somewhat unexpected state of tranquility. The absence of those regular visits, which once brought a mix of excitement and peculiarity, now left a quiet calmness in the apartment that he called home. The echo of laughter, the shared stories, the unique bond they had formed, it all seemed like a distant memory. Living alone, he had become accustomed to his own company. But the sudden void left by the cessation of these visits was felt. However, the void did not bring about loneliness or despair. Instead, it gave him a chance to reflect, to look back on this peculiar chapter of his life, and to find humor in it. Yes, humor. Because amidst all the strangeness of the situation, he found that he was now saving $20. That's right. No more $20 transactions that accompanied each visit. Just like that, he was $20 richer every time he would have had a visit. It's funny how life works out, isn't it? He found himself pondering over the entire experience. In the grand scheme of life, this was just a small chapter. But it was a chapter that taught him about the unpredictability of life, about forming connections in the unlikeliest of places, about the value of a good laugh, and about the worth of $20. But looking back, he realized he held no resentment or regret. Instead, he was left with a story worth telling. A story that brought a smile to his face every time he thought about it. He had memories, he had experiences, and he had an extra $20 in his pocket. And so, an unusual chapter in the protagonist's life came to a close, leaving him with memories, experiences, and an extra $20 in his pocket.